tell President Obama about the reptoid invasion. Oh no! What if he's a reptoid too? I need to see his birth certificate!
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell, and okay, let me take you back. A couple weeks ago, one Chad McKenna, there was a wager made on the show about if he did not make a reference to the movie Seven on any episode of the Kongversation going forward, he would be forced to eat a disgusting, gluttonous amount of spaghetti, much like the character in the movie. So, unfortunately, Chad cannot keep to the comedic premises we come up with on the fly here on the Kongversation. So this week, he is being force-fed a disgusting, gluttonous amount of spaghetti, like the character from the movie Seven. Hey, Chad, how's the spaghetti? Well, all right. This is what you get when you cross our ridiculous comedic improv. So anyway, because Chad has his mouth full of wet noodles this week, I am forced to have a different co-host. So this week on the Kongversation, I have invited one Nick Spuzzwig Prol to join me. Welcome to the show, Nick.
The world is a fine place and worth fighting for. I agree with the second part.
Maybe I'll get Cameron to do this instead. No, how you doing, Nick?
Oh, sorry, just wanted to quote Seven right out the gate so I don't, get the same fate as Chad in the future.
Oh, I mean, once Chad is done eating this dump truck full of spaghetti, then the premise is dead. We can go a conversation without mentioning Seven. So you are in the clear. Just don't promise that every time you appear on the Kongversation from here on out, you'll have to mention something or do something with some sort of consequences, or else you'll suffer the same sort of hard fate.
Gotcha.
I like to keep the rules of the Kongversation much like an ironic genie. You've got to, you can be on the show, but some horrible fate will befall you should you get it wrong.
Seems fair. Anyway, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, just for those of you who are casual Kongversation listeners who don't devoutly listen to every episode, heathens, as I like to call you.
Yeah.
Nick is our newest staff member, although he's been a staff member for about a year now, and he actually has been doing stuff for DK Vine for about a year and a half. Nick, of course, is the man behind DKU Comix, Comics with an X, by the way, which started in the fall of 2014, right around the time Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U dropped, and all of that delightful drama hit our community like a sack of bricks.
Like a sandbag.
Like a sandbag, yeah. Is Sandbag even in the fourth one? I haven't. I care
know.
So little about it.
Yeah.
Sandbag was a great character in Melee, though, I've got to say.
Should have been playable in the new one.
Should have been playable. Would have been better than Cloud, at least. Or at least one of, let's say, remove 4 of the Fire Emblem characters and have at least 1 Sandbag, 1 K. Rool, 1 Crystal. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
In a perfect world.
Whenever Chad's not around, I like to bitch about Smash Brothers some more.
Oh, you're free to do so.
It's a free country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, hey Chad, how's that spaghetti?
Ooh, that sounds like a mouthful.
Well, we have good times here at DK Vine. Anyway, so, welcome to the show, Nick. We did have you on the Kongversation last E3 and on our New Year's Season 3 finale, so you're not a stranger to the show. You actually called into the Kongversation, which,
yes,
before you were ever a staff member or before you invented the comics, but we'll get into that in just a bit. But, yeah, you've been on the Kongversation before. So before we get to the topic at hand, which is entirely self-serving to you,
of course, I demanded it.
I was wondering if you would help me with the standard due diligence.
Sure thing, Hyle. Well, as we all know, there's a Patreon campaign going on for DK Vine, and anyone who has not donated to the Patreon pretty much should not be able to sleep or cope with their lives out of pure guilt.
They're a filthy thief. They're a filthy thief. They're taking our hard-crafted entertainment.
Yeah.
And this is very entertaining. You've taken our entertainment and you decided, even though it's available on the internet for free, you're not going to graciously give us any tips in the tip jar.
Exactly. I mean, content does not grow on trees. Come on.
It doesn't, no. But, no, seriously, DK Vine on Patreon, we would be ever so humbly grateful if you could back us at even $1 a month. If you can't, if times be tough, I understand. There was a recession a few years ago. Shit happens. It's hard for, most of our audience are millennials and, there's no jobs out there right now. I understand. So I'm not actually shaming anybody. I steal content all the time online. It's what you do. But if you do back us on Patreon, here's what you get. For $1 a month, you get stickers. You get goddamn stickers. And they're fantastic.
Yeah, they're beyond fantastic.
Nick, you just got the stickers in the mail the other week.
Oh, I have them. I have them all over my house.
All over. You got, all 4 of them are all over your house.
Yeah, one in each room.
Wow, look at the king here, living in a 4-room house.
Comics pays the bills.
You have an indoor bathroom and everything. Ooh, It's Shangri-La. No, the stickers are cool. They were designed by one Matt Corna, who was also sometimes Kongversation co-host. And, you get for $1 a month, you get stickers for free. Well, yes, for free. Yeah, we'll say you give $1, and then independently of that, we send you stickers for free.
It's a regular sticker bush full of stickers.
Yes, not a sticker brush.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's a controversy on the DK Vine forum right now.
Yes, I've seen.
Yeah, but we'll get into the DK Vine forum here in a second. Yeah, and if you go up in your monthly pledges, you get all sorts of other goodies, like getting the conversation a day early, listening to the conversation live as we record it. All sorts of other fantastic things. You could be an official Which Brothers Bears Best correspondent for DK Vine and make YouTube content for us.
Holy shit!
Holy shit, indeed. It's an amazing thing we're offering, and we're also going to be offering new Patreon rewards in the next couple months, I would say. Stay tuned for that. But also a great time to be a patron, though, is E3. And, Chad and I are going to E3 once again this year. We know Rare's going to be there. Rare's going to be there with Sea of Thieves. Playtonic's going to be there with Ukulele. Nintendo's going to be showing off the NX.
Nokia's got the new N-Gage.
Oh, man, I wish. And, Tiger Electronics, they're going to have their new LCD handhelds. It's going to be great.
The Philips CDI 2 is being presented.
No, but E3 time, anybody who's a DK Vine stalwart, who's been here for longer than a year, knows that E3 is the most magical time to be on DK Vine. It is a week-long festival atmosphere. The party goes 24 hours a day. From the weekend before E3 up to the next weekend, we have a special E3 forum, on the DK Vine forum, where all the action happens. But this year, we also have the DK Vine Inner Circle, where Chad and I will be conversing with you, the people, directly from the show floor, and a lot of stuff you'll be seeing from DK Vine, you'll see first in the Inner Circle.
Wait, so you and Chad you're talking to normal people?
What do you mean, normal people in the Inner Circle?
Regular people?
Yes, we're descending from the heavens and interacting with the common folk.
Are you sure? Like, you could get infected or something.
We've already been infected. Come on.
Okay.
But no, seriously, I know there's been some people voice concern. Are you hoarding all your E3 content for the Inner Circle? Which, by the way, is a Patreon Patreon reward that you can get at a certain tier. Well,
of course.
No, we're not going to be hoarding all our content for the Inner Circle, but it's going to be the most direct way to chat with people during E3.
All the content will be on the site, but it'll be even cooler to talk to you guys about it. So.
Right, we can say, hey, we just met Shigeru Miyamoto. Say hi, Miyamoto. Then Miyamoto will come to the Inner Circle, and he'll learn English, and he'll say hello.
Exactly.
It's going to be fantastic. I can't promise Miyamoto will be in the inner circle at E3, but I can't say he won't.
Exactly.
Anything can happen at E3, just like Halloween. So,
just like Halloween.
Yeah, seriously, go to dkvine.com/Patreon. Check out all the rewards. Check out the milestones we're trying to hit. And yeah, just consider it, because if you like video games, if you like Donkey Kong, if you like Rare.
If you like Pina Colada.
If you like Pina Coladas, if you like Making Love at Midnight, then hey, DK Vine on Patreon is for you. But let's talk about the DK Vine hotline for the conversation.
Sure. I mean, if you want to call in, you can. It's pretty cool.
You can. That's how we first met you, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call the DK Vine hotline at 1-281-410-KONG-5664. If you want to comment on an episode we have planned, and we usually announce that week's episodes on Twitter and Facebook and on the DK Vine forum. But if you want to call in with anything you want to talk about, we eventually have Anything Goes call sack episodes. So, your call is not going to go to waste. But yeah, if you would like to be on the conversation, if you would like to steer the flow of the conversation for a solid 5 minutes or so.
And as you've mentioned on social media, next week's topic is the pro-choice life debate. So go ahead and get your calls coming in. Be civil. Be civil.
Yes. Next week, we invite all Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders supporters to call in, try to find a common ground. No. If anything, I want the conversation to be a refuge from the election season of this year. I'm not going to be. I'm a political junkie in real life, so it's kind of hard for me to shut it off. But sometimes you just got to get away.
The election season's not that different from the pre-Smash release.
It's really not. Yeah, it's all these people like supporting their candidate, and then their candidate does not get in, and then they just throw a shit fit. And
man, that almost seems like a good comic idea for the future.
That almost seems like a good comic idea. Anyway, we mentioned the DK Vine forum and how there's never been a better time to join when it's E3 time, but you know what? There's never been a better time to join right now. You want to get into the community now, before E3, introduce yourself, make the rounds, get to know some new friends, and then that way you'll be all caught up and ready for E3. So that
way people will know what to call you when they yell at you during E3.
Exactly. Yes, when you have those bitter, divisive arguments at E3 because you hate the way the NX looks and some other guy likes it, then you can have blood feuds, but it's going to be a lot more personable if you're there right now. So
yeah, they won't just be like, hey, who's this random guy whose opinion I disagree with? They'll be like, oh, this is N-Gage fan 82. I hate this guy. So it'll be way easier.
DKVine.com/forum. I know, internet forums, they're kind of outdated, and nobody really has them anymore. There's comment sections now. Nobody does.
Hey, we got to keep them alive, man.
We are the torchbearers for late 90s, early 2000s internet culture. If nothing else, we're that. So, there you go. The DKVine
fan sites, forums, that's what it's all about.
DKVine forum still rocking hard after 16 years. Anyway, back to the conversation. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, rate us on iTunes, and then follow DK Vine itself on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and YouTube. YouTube, we just got some of those classic Monkey Piece Theater videos up on YouTube. We promised we'd get them up couple weeks ago on that action figure episode we did. They're now all up. All four of them, actually. I thought there was three, but it turns out there was a fourth one.
Such great stop-motion animation. I mean, Chad is a regular Henry Selick.
If I knew what that was a reference to, I would agree. I would say he's a regular Tom Selleck, but I don't think he can grow that luscious of a mustache.
Yeah, you never know. I've seen some photos recently.
Really?
Yeah, he's growing it out.
Is he growing out the mustache?
Yeah.
Okay, he grew out a beard once, and it was
that's what I mean. It's a beard.
Oh, okay, because the beard, he's got like that Irishman beard where it's like groundskeeper Willie kind of thing.
Fiddlesworth.
Yeah. Hey, Chad, we're talking about your beard. Are you getting any spaghetti in your beard?
You know, the tomato sauce kind of blends in with it, so I can't really tell. But
yeah, he if anything, he's just more of a ginger now than he ever was.
Yeah, keep wolfing it down, Chad.
So, We have fun here. We have fun here. We force our co-host to eat spaghetti. It's delicious.
Well, it's only fair.
It's only fair, and it's what the audience expects. Yeah. So, and anything else? Oh yeah. Tell your friends about the Kongversation.
Hell, tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies. Tell that Bernie Sanders supporter down the street about the Kongversation, and then tell all your Donald Trump supporting bros about the Kongversation. Well, I don't care. Do it.
Make the internet great again.
But seriously, it really only survives on word of mouth because it's such an esoteric concept for a show. We realize that like the Donkey Kong universe is a pretty
niche.
Or as I like to say, niche. Or quiche. I also like quiche.
Or Nietzsche.
Yes. I don't know. I always feel just great despair after Nietzsche. But I don't know. Yeah, we survive on word of mouth, basically, because the Donkey Kong universe is kind of, it's a concept that has to be explained to you, unless you were, like, there, like, in the heat of the moment in the late 90s. It's kind of hard to make those connections now.
Basically, what you're saying is only 90s kids get this.
Yes.
Only 90s kids get this.
Yeah. This is a show that only 90s kids would understand, and that's my clickbaity pitch for the show.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. Tell your friends if they like anything that we talk about. Even they don't even have to care about the concept of this shared universe we talk about. If they like Donkey Kong Country games, if they like Rare's games from the past or present, if they have any interest in just grown people in their 20s and 30s talking about shit that they should have outgrown close to a decade ago, then this is the show for you. But spread the word.
Yeah, get it out there.
All right. Well, now that shameless self-whoring is done, how are you doing, Nick? You have been doing DKU Comix on DK Vine for, a better part of a year and a half now. And first of all, I think we should start with a plug for the actual web address, and that's at dkvine.com/comics, COMIX.
Gotta have that X.
We can't do anything simple here on DK Vine. No, I do have to bring up something that Chad himself has critiqued about the name of DKU Comix when his mouth isn't full of delicious Italian food, and that is, you spell DKU Comix with an X, but there's no S after the X.
I know. I regretted that afterwards. It would have been a clever choice, but I wanted DKU Comix, the title, to, I don't know, reflect, the comics of the 90s. You always saw X after everything.
The extreme aesthetic of the 90s. You had the X Games. You had all of these Marvel superhero teams with X in their name.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of underground comics and zines and all that crap, and they tend to spell it that way, so I thought I would too. Plus, who can forget the Sega Genesis classic Comic Zone?
That's true. Yeah.
They spelled it that way, so if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me.
I love zines too, because they're so extreme they don't have time for any of the other syllables.
I know, MAGA, who has time to say that?
Yeah. And it's like the American Godzilla, his name is Zilla, from the classic 90s movie Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
They just forgot to put the God in there, I guess.
Yeah, because God was dead in the 90s. We were too extreme for it. We don't have time for God when we have all this Mountain Dew going down our throats.
Exactly.
God, I miss the 90s. Well, actually, no, because it was a lot more, repressive if you were, gay or a minority in the 90s.
Sure, but we had Surge.
Well, Surge is back, my friend. Surge is back.
So you're saying a world can have Surge and progressive political ideas?
Yes, I'm saying Surge and LGBT rights can coexist side by side. And
I think my mind was just kind of ripped wide open.
I think we have the best of both worlds now. So
yeah, I'm happy where we are.
Yes. See, all of this would be great material for a comic strip, Nick. Feel free to pilfer any of this you want.
Surge Comics, all right.
So, DKU Comix. I guess anybody who first sees them will be struck by your art style and
utterly alienated,
perhaps
confused.
Perhaps. Now, I've made this comparison a lot of times, and I first saw your art style, Nick, when you submitted art to the DK Vine gallery, because we have a fan artwork gallery that you can also submit to. Submit at dkvine.com is the email address.
Do it.
But yeah, so I remember seeing your art style there, and it subconsciously at the time, and I didn't make this connection until just several months back, but it reminded me of Pee-wee's Playhouse, kind of the art style of the, or at least the art direction of the Playhouse itself. Everything is kind of, there are no straight angles, I guess. It's just like everything's kind of askew and slightly demented.
Yeah, I gotta commend you on that connection because it really couldn't be more spot on. As far as my approach to the comic, I don't ahead of time consciously choose to mimic that style, but the art director on Pee-wee's Playhouse, Gary Panter, is one of my art heroes. He is awesome and big influence, so that's a really cool thing that you caught on.
Yeah, and I have admitted on the show in the past that I used to love Pee-wee's Playhouse when I was... Well, I mean, I haven't seen it in years. I mean,
yeah,
I know it's one of those things where if it was on TV, I would probably stop to check it out. But it's one of those things where I kind of just prefer to keep it in my memories. Because
I get you.
I don't really know if it would hold up as a grown man now.
True.
Like,
it's still visually very solid.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I remember idolizing as a kid that I then watch as an adult. Because it was interesting when I was in my early 20s. That's when DVDs started to become a big thing, and they started releasing all of this stuff on DVD, all these TV shows and I bought up so much of the stuff from my youth, like the old Ninja Turtles cartoon, the real Ghostbusters,
Real Monsters.
I never really got into Real Monsters. I watched it because it was on, because I watched anything that was on Nickelodeon. But,
yeah, I wasn't a huge fan or anything. I did like the designs of the monsters.
Yeah, which is also similar to DKU Comix, actually. But yeah, I bought up all this stuff, and then I would watch it, and I would be like, oh, God, I've outgrown this.
Yeah.
But
does not hold up.
Pee-wee's Playhouse, I remember... And I think I caught an episode when I was a teenager, and it was still pretty subversive then for a kid's show.
Hey, well, at least the Donkey Kong Country show holds up, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And that it was never good. So
yeah,
it's
still
maintained
never
that
good.
through line of quality since I was a kid. There's going to be people angry at me because some people got into Donkey Kong Country through the cartoon show. So
God bless them. God bless them.
You know what? Anything that gets you into Donkey Kong Country, the video game, is all right with me. Like if it's the cartoon that you love.
Yeah,
fine.
It's like getting into good jazz music via heavy heroin use. Like it's not a good entry point, but at least you get to listen to jazz.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would be such a heroin addict. I am afraid of trying any hard drugs because I know I would fall headfirst into full-blown addict within a week.
Yeah.
Because that is just the way I am. I am committed. No matter what I do, I am committed to it. So
you're not pot committed, you're heroin committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
For example, like I am trying to level up my Blastoise and Pokemon Red right now.
Have you discussed this on the conversation?
Yeah, I think it's come up.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, Pokemon Red came out digitally for the first time, and Blue and Yellow, whatever. But Red was the version I had, so that's what I re-downloaded or downloaded for the first time, but repurchased.
Yeah.
And it just came out in the eShop, so I've been playing Pokemon Red, and I've mentioned before on Barry's DK Vine Things podcast, whatever, that when I was a kid, I tried to level up all my Pokemon to level 100, and the earlier in the game I did it, the better. Like, I wouldn't wait to beat the game and then just mindlessly level up my Pokemon. No, I would try. This was something I thought was essential in beating the game, is maxing out all of my Pokemon and not using rare candy, not doing any cheating.
And not even leaving the first town.
Well, yeah, so basically, I got my starter Pokemon, my Squirtle, because Squirtle was the man, and I...
Hey, they're genderless, bro.
Well, he could be the man. There's a 50-50 chance he's the man. I really don't know until I trade him out into a future version of Pokemon, but...
True.
So I I went north of Pallet Town into the grass just above, and that is where I've been for the last 35 hours of game time. I have not even gotten my Pokédex yet.
Who needs it?
I literally just left Pallet Town, and I'm in the grass immediately north. Haven't talked to anybody past that grass, and I'm just mindlessly walking around. Right now, as of this recording, I have got a level 47 Blastoise.
So once you move past that patch of grass, you're kind of going to be like Samwise in Fellowship of the Ring. You'll be like, this is as farthest I've been, Mr. Frodo.
Yeah, except unlike Samwise, I am a hulking death turtle, and that is capable of basically defeating any challenge that comes at me at the game. I
guess they are a little different.
Some people have said, but Hyle, you're not going to be able to catch any other Pokemon because you've basically evolved your Pokemon like out of that opportunity. You're not going to be able to.
And those people should kill themselves.
They should, because actually the really weaker Pokemon like the Rattatas and Pidgeys you encounter in that grass, they can still be caught with a single throw of a Pokeball. You don't have to do anything to them. I think it's like a 1 in 4 chance they'll be caught. But essentially,
preach it.
You have to waste some Pokeballs. But I'm not doing anything that breaks the game.
You do you, sister.
So life affirming when you're on the show, Nick. Thank you. Usually I just get a bunch of sass from Chad, who is by the way enjoying a dump truck full of spaghetti. I just feel like the need to point that out right now. Hey, Chad, got anything to say to the people? I'm worried, actually, that we might be killing Chad McKenna.
I mean, I think he should just shut up and keep eating. With a comment like that, I mean, come on, Chad. The Holocaust did happen. Please.
I think he may have not said that, but honestly,
okay, well,
but he may have said that. It's really hard to understand Chad when he's got a mouthful of spaghetti.
He might have been talking about the HoloLens, not the Holocaust.
The HoloLens is just a hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, what's the difference, really? I mean,
yeah. 70 years from now, they'll have young Conker museums to show people the horrors.
His thin bones in piles.
But anyway, so my point is, I am committed to whatever I do. Donkey Konga 2 says hi, by the way. And so if I tried heroin, I would probably be like, yes, this is great, and this is what I want to do in my life from here on out. So
that was a good heroin tangent right there.
Thank you. Is there ever a bad heroin tangent?
No.
It's why my favorite character from Lost was Charlie. And my favorite Hobbit from Lord of the Rings.
But wouldn't your favorite character be Kate if you're into heroines?
Well, she was my favorite elf from The Hobbit.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It's amazing how it's all connected.
Yeah.
So
it's almost as if people have similar agents.
Anyway. And also, they were lovers at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Kate and Charlie in real life.
On-set drama.
Yeah. Then they broke up and Charlie drowned. Spoilers.
And then Charlie had meltdowns on Twitter talking about how Jack is crazy or something.
Really?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Hobbits will be hobbits.
Yeah, I think he may have hobbit more than he could chew when he made that comment. No, that was awful. That was awful. Don't give me a rim shot for that. So going back to DKU Comix. Yeah, your art, how would you best describe your art style other than akin to Pee-wee's Playhouse and Real Monsters? Because it is for some people, I'm sure it's nausea-inducing because you basically take these beloved characters that people spend their entire lives with, or at least from a significant portion of their childhood onward with, and you make them into gangly hellbeast.
Yeah, and the thing is to me that gangly hellbeast doesn't seem that odd to me. I don't know why. I've always loved that kind of character design. I think it is quirky and charming. If people are nauseated or think it's freakish, then that's a plus because any press is good press. But to me, I'm just trying to draw them in a way they haven't been seen before. Because if I were to, I'm not saying I could perfectly replicate the game art or anything, but if I were to try to draw them like that, it would just be kind of boring for me, So,
well, yeah,
try to get a little zany.
Yeah, it would be boring, and it would be, I don't know. very similar to, I think, the art style we're used to. It's weird because we're used to computer modeling of these characters,
Yes.
and whenever you deviate from that, like the original Payon game, King of Swing, seeing the Kongs in an art style that wasn't computer modeled was kind of jarring at first.
Yeah, you gotta get used to it. I love what they did.
Oh
but,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love different takes on. I think different takes on things can all exist at the same time, and that's why. DKU Comix. I wanted it to be a little skewed and angular. It's just the kind of art that I've always loved, and trying to channel that into a universe that I love. So.
Yeah, and I also like that it's also potentially copyright skirting too.
Oh, how so? I haven't even thought about that. Just the entire existence of it.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, technically, like, your characters are off model enough that you could conceivably, I don't know, stick them on a sticker and not have to worry about Nintendo's lawyers coming down on you, or Microsoft's for that.
Well, I
matter.
don't plan on making money off of this comic, so.
Well, we're not making money off the stickers. They are a freebie we're giving out for generous patrons.
Then why is there not a Furtisan sticker?
Well, we can maybe talk about that. Remember,
we're talking about it right now. Let's hash this out. No, I'm just kidding.
The stickers are an annual thing.
The stickers, he's pretty low on the list of priorities.
The stickers refresh themselves every year. So in 2017, we're going to have 4 new stickers. So
Ryan Stiles, Furtisan, you, and I don't know, the guy from the DKC promo VHS.
Oh my God! If we had a U sticker, it should just be
just a mirror.
It's just a reflective surface. Yeah,
exactly.
With the DK Vine logo on it.
That'd be pretty cool.
Well, okay, so that's the soft pitch for DKU Comix. It's your favorite characters and rendered in a nauseating art style. So let's get to how you first came to the Donkey Kong universe itself, Nick. Why would you be wasting away on, like, let's say 35 Sundays out of your year? Why would you be spending your time making DKU Comix? How did you first come to the Donkey Kong universe?
Well, it kind of all started when I first tried heroin. Let's see. How did I come to the DKU? The DKU is so filled with very odd entries and entry points that I could be incorrect in this, but I believe it was with Donkey Kong Land. I believe
that's it's a really interesting entry point.
Yeah, and maybe speaks to the content of the comic and how it's a little weird from the other. I mean, it's recognizable, but there's some sort of weird stuff in it. But maybe that's stretching. But I might have played Killer Instinct at a friend's house or DKC2 or something, and you could claim that that's my entry point. But first game I owned from Rare that I really knew was Rare was probably Donkey Kong Land. I can't remember if I bought that before or after Banjo-Kazooie, but anyway, this is boring. Donkey Kong Land, loved it. Started looking up stuff online about the specific enemies and bosses, even though, they're not the most creative in the first Donkey Kong Country, but I still love the charm of them. And I would always try to come up with backstories for enemies in my head as a kid. And I found this site when I was like 11 that had all these this info on these pretty obscure characters. And even had names made up for the ones that weren't officially named and stuff. And I was like, "What is this place?" And it was called Mario Wiki.
Oh
no, just kidding. DK Vine. It was DK Vine.
I was gonna say Mario Wiki doesn't make up names. They'll just have like I don't know, the racing beetle or something. Like they won't have, like, we go the full mile, man. Like, this beetle doesn't have a name. Well, surely he was given a name by his parents or something. So we're gonna call him Scuttlebug.
And I've told this story before on a call, but I'll paraphrase it quickly. But so I loved DK Vine. I'd visit it almost daily or weekly or whatever for a couple months, and then as a kid, your interests and obsessions change. You move on to other stuff. I then played tons of Rare games and came in love with them, but for whatever reason didn't visit DK Vine again until a couple years later out of curiosity. And then to my disappointment, it seemed like the site had moved or changed because it said, "Welcome to Greenporn City," or something like that. And I remember being like, what is this? Like, the word, I didn't even know what the word porn meant. I thought it meant like thorn or something, like the Greenthorn City. Like some forest.
Every rose has a porn.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, what is this? And I was like, okay, well, I guess they moved the site or something. So then I never went back to that. But then I remember my mom deleting cookies on the internet or something, or filling out the cache or whatever, and then being like, "Son, what's Green Porn City?" And I was like 12 years old, and I was like, "I don't know, really, I don't know."
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my first. My dad was like, "Well, let me explain to this son what porn is." And so you guys, changed my life.
For the better, I would.
For the better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm now a proud pornography addict and actor. So.
Oh, wow. I don't even want to know where the Spuzzwick moniker came from.
Exactly. No, but thankfully that that did not get me into porn addiction.
I'm glad we didn't get you into too much trouble.
You didn't. It was
for those of you who don't know, back at the end of the classic era of DK Vine, Chad and I decided to start a webcomic. We took our leave of absence from DK Vine. We let a new generation of staffers take it over for a couple years, and we did a comic for. Oh my God! It wasn't even like 4 months. It was called Green Porn City.
4 glorious months.
The joke being that Green Porn City was the last available URL on the internet. Because by that point, and this was back in 2002, so it was like, obviously that's a misnomer. But it seemed like at the time, like every single URL was taken, so we were left with just this nonsensical like combination of words. Which I don't think that joke ever translated, but whatever. It's a memorable name, though. So it's
funny in theory.
It's
so
in
that's all
theory.
that matters.
In theory, a lot of things are funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. So at least people remember the name to this day. But the comic was shit. It turns out Chad and we weren't equipped to write a webcomic. And
well, hey, I wouldn't call it shit. I've seen some of the old ones, and I think it has its charm.
There's a couple funny ones. And honestly, had we stuck with it, I think it would have taken off. But
But see, that memory sort of cemented in my head almost. I couldn't separate it from DK Vine, even though I thought they were separate sites. I didn't know the same guys were responsible for both. I always thought of them as the same thing. And so when Tropical Freeze came out and I started really getting back into Donkey Kong and everything, I searched for Donkey Kong fan site, thinking, well, fan sites probably don't exist anymore. But maybe I'll find that old one from my youth, and it existed. And so that's sort of how I got back in. And then I had never explored the site to the point that I had now when I was a kid. I only read like the character bios and stuff, but I soon learned that the site had a really cool sense of humor. It was way smarter than your average fan site. It had
I wouldn't go that far.
Hey, I'm saying it. You don't have to say it. It has a whole agenda behind it in a way where it's
the gay agenda.
Yeah. And which thankfully can coexist with Surge. But
that's right. So that's what we fought for all these years.
Yeah.
Mission Surge accomplished.
Yeah. But I just thought it was really cool how it was satire, but at the same time loving satire, and obviously like I don't know, it was a cool way to get away with being overly analytical and nerdy, yet still being clever. And I know Chad has said in the past he thinks he's more clever than funny. Well, to me, clever is very important. Like, there's lots of funny on the internet, but we're in a short supply of clever. And I thought DK Vine was clever, so I got back into it, started posting on the forums. I wanted to try to mimic the voice of the site a bit in my post because I felt I could really relate to it. A lot of your influences were the same as mine as far as humor. And so I started posting about the sand eels from Banjo-Kazooie, which maybe you remember.
Yeah. For the record, I would say it's hard for Chad to be funny nor clever when he's got a mouthful of pasta. Isn't that right, Chad? That's right.
I don't know. That was pretty funny. Little blue, but funny.
Yeah, mostly red though. So you made a post. I think you first introduced yourself to the DK Vine forum by making that sand eels. Maybe you were around before that, but it's what most people knew you from because you.
Yeah, I wanted to make my voice heard somehow and be funny.
So basically, in the banjo discussion, you made a post about the sand eels, which, to our discredit, was one of the least discussed aspects about Banjo-Kazooie on our site or anywhere, because maybe who am I to explain the sand eels when I've got the expert next to me? Why don't you explain to the people at home what the sand eels from off of Banjo-Kazooie are?
Well, do I start from the first Aeolianic era of EC 1984, or do I? Okay, I'll just tell you who they are.
Thank you.
They're a drone of sorts that exists yet doesn't exist in Banjo-Kazooie in Gobi's Valley.
You never really see them.
Yeah, if you step on the hot sand, a sand eel's face will pop up in a dialogue box warning you that the sand is hot. And I think in Freeze Easy Peak or somewhere else there's a similar case with a freeze-related enemy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
is it like a snowflake or something?
Yeah,
or
something like that, where they say, you get in the water and it's going to be cold, you fat
Yeah,
fuck
and you
of a
don't
bear.
see those guys either. But for whatever reason, I noticed this with the sand eels first during a replay of the game, and I was thinking, I wonder if the sand eels, you never even see these guys. I wonder if they're on DK Vine like as an entry somewhere. No one had mentioned them. So I thought it'd be kind of funny if some loser presented the case for the sand eels as like heroes and like more important than anything. And so I just made this thread basically like defending the sand eels' place in the pantheon of the DKU, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think I impressed a lot of people too, because just that. The thing we pride ourselves on at DK Vine is it absurd eye for detail, and
exactly, which is why I love the site. And so I tried to channel that a bit, and I remember a few people even posted at the time like, "Hey, who's this newbie? He should be staff or something." And
well, we don't listen to those suggestions, by the way. That was complete coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I remember you, I think, messaged me via was it email or face? Yeah, I think it was just email through DK Vine Submit. Well,
I sent you that DM on Twitter with that one photo. You know what I'm talking about?
No, if it was Twitter, then it would have been Chad who saw it.
Oh, okay. So he got a photo of my... Oh, okay. Never mind. That was meant for your eyes.
Oh, I missed out. Damn it. Anyway.
But yeah, I sent you...
Yeah, so you basically got in touch with me, and you basically said, "Hey, I love this site. I want to. I would like to do something for it. Maybe like a comic strip." And I don't know. I was at the time. I was like, "Okay, sure, we can try it out, because what's the harm?" And we do have.
Yeah, what's the harm?
We do have
throw this guy a bone.
Yeah, we do have a submit feature on DK Vine where people can submit their own works, and it doesn't always lead to anything. Sometimes they fall apart, but why not? So
things fall apart.
Yeah, and so yeah, within a few weeks at least, DKU Comix was born, and like I said, this was around the era of Super Smash Brothers for Wii U and Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS. It was around those initial reveals and leaks and discouragement and bitter fights and feuds.
Yep. So originally DKU Comix was a very topical strip, and it still will be. It's just it goes through many different changes.
It does. It's like the noble caterpillar. It starts off as a leaf munching little critter before it goes into its pupus, and then emerges as a beautiful butterfly, and then it loses its wings
and becomes a sand eel.
Yes. So. Yeah, your first strip was actually something parodying the recent Smash Brothers reveals. It was from September 7th, 2014, and it had Sakurai basically... it looked like he was revealing King K. Rool in a new Nintendo Direct, but it turned out he saw a silhouette and it looked like King K. Rool, but it turned out it was actually a character called Neon Pit. And of course, at the time, I think the big controversy was Dark Pit being in the game as a
clone character.
Yeah. Versus anybody cared about. It was like, really, Dark Pit deserves to be among the pantheon of Nintendo's greatest. Whatever. But yeah, it was a good introduction, and from there you quickly went into other topical strips. You went into something about Kremlins as Klansmen, which I don't know, would be topical this year too, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
You did something, and what I loved is quickly you established that both fictional Donkey Kong Universe characters and also the real life creators could be featured interchangeably in the strip, because
I wanted to establish that early on, because on the site I don't know, there's no other company I love a lot of game companies, but there's no other one where I really know as many people in it and like think each of them have unique characteristics that I love and everything as much as Rare. So
well, the funny thing is, like, and this is changing slowly, I think, but up until this last summer 2015, people didn't really know who worked at Rare except the diehards at DK Vine and the other Rare communities. Like, you would know them perhaps after they left Rare. Like, Grant Kirkhope became something of an internet celebrity after he left Rare and started appearing on various podcasts and different shows. And yeah, people knew, like, or at least vaguely knew, like, David Wise through reputation of his music alone. The sheer power of his music kind of pulled his name up further than it would have been had he just been this anonymous musician at Rare. Because Rare was pretty secretive up until the Rarenaissance and before their coming out party last year's E3. So, yeah, it's really cool to see, like, in your third comic strip, you had, David Wise and Grant Kirkhope appearing as themselves in the strip. Yeah. And, of course, the premise of that strip was there was a Donkey Kong Universe Music Awards ceremony, and this was back the 2004 DKU Music Awards, and they lost Best Composer to Good Charlotte for their work on Donkey Konga 2, which this day, because of my associations with that game, it remains one of my favorite of your strips. But
nice. Thanks.
I like the premise that in the world of your comics, the creators can coexist with the characters themselves as if they were all just working on, like, Hollywood productions together, like Swanky Kong can host a music awards ceremony.
To see the game designers in my world, they're making games based off of actual events of these characters that coexist in their world.
Which also happens in the DKU games themselves, because we know there's a company called Rare in the Donkey Kong universe that sends their explorer Horace Golightly to the Rare archipelago and he brings back, like, reports and notebooks and pictures and documentation, and then they make games based on those. So there's different varying levels of meta-ness in the actual games themselves. But yeah, so I like that. And then from there, you quickly, like, it didn't take you long. It was like 6 weeks into it, you launched your first story arc. Mm-hmm. And the story arc of trading on your reputation on the DK Vine forum was Saga of the Sand Eels.
Correct.
So
yeah, I enjoyed the topical thing, and it's fun, but I started having to rack my brain for what to do each week, and of course, that's any.
I know. The Kongversation, this season in particular, once we, like, got into late winter and spring, nobody's talking about anything right now. Everybody's keeping things under wraps until E3, so we're kind of dejectedly, like, trying to fill airtime, which is why we have an episode about DKU Comix.
Exactly. Filler.
Yeah, it's not filler. It's well, I mean, Chad's got his mouth filled with spaghetti this week, so I guess in that sense there is a lot of filler in this episode, but no, DKU Comix is a vital, vital topic that must be discussed.
Of course.
And you bet on the staff long enough, I wanted to bring you on and actually get inside your head about it, because it intrigues me. Man. It intrigues me. But you. Topical humor can be hard, although I do miss those topical strips. I would love to see some more.
They're coming back soon.
All right.
Force.
Or else you're not going to get your pension, my friend, when you retire.
But yeah, I don't know. I would say I'm a storyteller at heart, but that sounds really pretentious, so I'll just say I wanted to do a story arc. So.
But yeah, story arcs are fine. Trust me, I know. Like, everything I do eventually de-evolves into a ridiculous story arc, so yeah. I know. But the Saga of the Sand Eels, explain that to the layman at home. What exactly was the story behind that?
Okay, so if I can even remember. I guess the Sand Eels, who I had mentioned, are not mentioned in any media and don't even appear in Banjo-Kazooie other than their face.
Yeah, the little talking head that appears next to the dialogue, but you never actually see any in-game polygonal representation of the Sand Eels. It's just that little talking head.
So the plot I devised was, what if these Sand Eels realized that they have get no respect and no recognition, even though they basically star in one of the most popular games ever? What if they got angry about it and started taking it out on the DKU?
So again, it really does play to that idea that these are real characters in that know they're in games and make these games as if they were, starring in them, but then they go off to live their lives outside of the game universe.
Yes. And I guess I wouldn't say all the Sand Eels were mad about it. Just one in particular kind of drove things with his madness, and that was Archduke Ferdisand.
Which is still one of the best puns I think I've ever encountered in the history of DK.
I forget who it was. It might have been Alf or somebody, but when I was trying to think of a name, he recommended Kim Jong-il. That's a good one too. And I worked it into the comic as a reference, but yeah, Ferdisand, I was surprised by, he was sort of just a placeholder stereotypical villain with a monocle at first, but as I went, I was kind of happy to see, whatever small amount of feedback I was getting, a lot of it was mentioning Ferdisand as a fan favorite of sorts. So I thought that was kind of cool. I just started, and already there's this character who's sort of mine, sort of not, sort of what the hell is he? And people like him. So that was cool.
Well, he's got a monocle. He's basically, he just looks like a yellow penis with a mouth.
That's the appeal.
With a mouth, eyes, and nostrils, and he has a monocle. But I think his most distinguishing features are the I don't even know what you call these mustaches. They're not handlebar mustaches. They're like the
curlicue.
Yeah. That's like the one you have to wax up into the twisty. I don't know. You saw a lot of hipsters try to utilize this mustache look, I think, in the mid to late 2000s, before just beards became the standard hipster identifying brand. I
think resident artist phenom M-Dog has a similar mustache, but it works for him.
It works for his me too.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if M-Dog's is quite as lustrous as Ferdisand.
Oh, no, it's not as over the top.
No. But I mean, I've seen people in real life with this over the top version, and it's just like, really? Whoa, dude. But he also has a fez, and so it's just this perfect, I don't know, mixture of absurdity, especially on an eel.
I viewed him as sort of like an Indiana Jones bad guy of some sort, like
a racist caricature. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But Archduke Ferdisand, he is the villain, or he's the leader of the Sand Eels, but he's also I guess the villain of the saga of the Sand Eels. So
correct.
Yeah, it started with him actually targeting Donkey Kong himself. He went for the big guns.
Yeah.
And throughout the first few weeks, more and more of these characters would be imprisoned. And
yeah, eventually he had everyone pretty much imprisoned besides, obscure characters, quote unquote, who weren't a threat. But there was one main character he forgot to capture.
Oh yeah, who's that?
K. Rool.
Oh, so, and this was probably cathartic too, that we had K. Rool, because this is before this is after Smash 4's release, but before the DLC, the ballot thing began. So at the time, it just seemed like there's no hope for K. Rool, and of course, ultimately, there was no hope for K. Rool. But this was this was during that time period where before all the support came out for K. Rool, but after K. Rool loyalists were dejected, we had K. Rool as the protagonist of DKU Comix, so that was necessary.
And I didn't premeditate any of this or engineer it, but it was just kind of in the air that, there's a lot of K. Rool love, and I guess I subconsciously thought, okay, K. Rool goes through lots of changes. He's crazy. What if he's just crazy enough to be the hero for once?
Yeah, and
I thought that would be interesting.
What I like is he sent out a call to arms to join his anti-Sand Eel army. the panel that sticks with me the most from this story arc to this day, like a year and a half later, is Mr. Pants, decked out in he's still wearing underpants and he's still wearing a bowler, but he's got like a hand grenade and he's got a bazooka and decked out for war, and on the British coast, and he says he said, "Oi, it's time for me to help rescue me fans in it." I'm not gonna do the accent because Mr. Pants has a very specific accent, and
he deserves perfection.
Anything after, like anything beyond what he spoke in the game, it would be hard to replicate.
Yes. But I wanted that to also. I wanted that to illustrate, this ain't just Donkey Kong, kids. Like everything's on the table, so even Mr. Pants is getting involved.
And you also make reference to DK Vine Fanon. I'm going to say soft canon at this point because why not? That Mr. Pants is a celebrity in the Rare Archipelago.
Yes.
That he is a TV star, and Mr. Pants is also somehow aware that this is where his celebrity is its most potent, is the Rare Archipelago.
Exactly.
So he needs to come rescue his fans. Yeah.
Yeah, DK Van Fanon really is a part of the comic because. Later I referenced that Barry was a child star and different things like that.
Yes, it's much appreciated that you are tonally consistent with our bullshit.
I try to be. Yeah, I try to add texture to it.
But to be fair, our fan, people rag on us for our fan, and I just saw somebody do it on the DK Vine forum the other day, and I won't say who.
Son of a...
I won't say who. But they may be a masculine amphibian of sorts. But we get accused of making bullshit up all the time and like steamrolling over the facts. We don't.
You're talking about Toadfellow, aren't you?
Toadfellow, yeah.
He's a pain.
He is a pain, but
all right.
Yeah. But he's a captain, so we have to respect that.
Yes, of course.
No, but to be fair, DK Vine Fanon, we actually do take in-game evidence and we extrapolate from it. We don't just make up bullshit for the sake of making up bullshit. A lot, like the stuff we do run with, it's gleaned from the games themselves. So we say Barry from off of the Conker series was a child star. Well, she has an autographed picture in the cabin in the Rusty Bucket Bay. So
exactly,
why is there this autographed picture of this nothing chipmunk? This is before she was even in a video game, so she can't. It can't be like playing on the fact that she's this well-known video game star. So in universe, she must be a celebrity of sorts already. So she's a child actress. Okay, let's roll with it.
Why not?
Yeah, same thing though. Mr. Pants. Well, he's on a TV in Boggy's Igloo. That's the first appearance of him as an actual physical, real character. Mm-hmm. So, and there's pictures of him everywhere in Ghoulhaven Hall, references to him. He's a celebrity of sorts. He's got a TV show where he dances in his underpants.
Exactly.
And so if he's going to host a puzzle game, then clearly that's some sort of game show. That's his second TV show. It's Mr. Pants. So, yeah.
He's a regular Chuck Woolery.
So, he is. Did Chuck Woolery ever dance in his underwear for like an hour at a time on TV?
Only in the privacy of his own home.
Oh, okay. And in our dreams.
Yes.
So, I mean, I take pride in our fandom because there is a logic and a truth to it. We try to keep it as honest as possible. So, and usually it's only to keep the universe as we know it internally consistent, and sometimes paper over any holes that appear. So I do appreciate that you bring that same sort of demented attention to detail to DKU Comix.
I try.
You try, yes. So Saga of the Sand Eels, it went for the better part of a few months. I mean,
and somehow consistently was paid attention to more than its follow-up.
Well, to be fair, you did have like K. Rool and Donkey Kong characters and Banjo characters, obviously.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
This was kind of like a who's who of the DKU, and
yeah. I thought that was a good place to start with a story arc.
Yeah, and what I really like about it too, and what I really like about DKU Comix to this day is for as much as we rattle on and on about, the shared universe and whatnot, it's very, very uncommon to see these characters standing side by side, interacting in these situations. We had Diddy Kong Racing. We had some, sometimes Donkey Kong characters popped up in the Banjo series.
We have all this shared universe in our imaginations, and I wanted to put it, have it visualized for once.
Right, because unfortunately, especially post-buyout, the chance of these characters actually interacting is very, very slim.
Exactly.
So, it's great. Sure, Espresso might pop up in Banjo Pilot when nobody's looking, and Tip Top is still in Diddy Kong Racing DS, because Nintendo doesn't give a shit about Tip Top. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be seeing Donkey and Banjo side by side, and so it's really cool to see in DKU Comix kind of what goes on inside of our own heads vomited out into 4 panels.
Exactly.
Also in Saga of the Sandios, I'm looking over them right now, and I forgot that Good Charlotte reappeared.
Oh yes, I'm looking through it right now too.
Good
Neon Pit as well.
Neon Pit, Good Charlotte. Yeah, I liked how you brought back those first 5 weeks and made them part of the story arc of Saga of the Sandios. Of course, you also decapitated Neon Pit and Good Charlotte, which...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Good Charlotte deserves to die because their music was used in Donkey Kong 2. That's without question.
Of course.
I like how sheepishly you respond to that. Like, you don't want to get it on any government list.
No, I love Good Charlotte. What are you talking about? I love Good Charlotte.
Yeah, there's government agencies designed to protect the integrity of mid-2000s bands whose shirts were sold at Hot Topic. Of course, Saga of the Sandios wrapped up. Archduke Ferdinand was imprisoned. He's appeared subtly and not so subtly a couple times since then, but
yes,
in throwaway strips.
Still in prison.
Are you ever gonna? It ended by drawing attention to another obscure DKU character that got some attention on the DK Vine forum around the same time of the Sandios, and that was Happy Crab from Donkey Kong Land.
Yeah, which may or may not even be in the game.
What do you mean?
Right? Someone thought it was a crab smiling, but it could just be part of the background or something.
Well, there's a crab there for sure.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Whether he's smiling or not, it's to be debated. It's like when your dog or cat smiles. Are they really smiling, or is that just the shape their mouth is in?
Exactly.
But yeah, I like that. It planted the seeds. Maybe someday Happy Crab is going to go through a similar story arc. You
never know. I wanted to kind of, you got to make it rhyme, Hyle.
It's like poetry, just like the Star Wars prequels.
Wanted to end where it began.
Every panel is so dense.
I know.
Archduke Ferdinand is the key to all of this. If we can get him to work.
Herbert is one of the funniest characters we've ever had.
Herbert. Oh, yeah, Herbert. I liked Herbert.
Herbert's sort of the unsung hero of that saga.
So,
and I'd like to have him appear in the future because he's now kind of part of the world.
Right, exactly.
And you and Chad and Greenporn City made a quick cameo.
Oh, that's right, we did. Unfortunately. Which strip was that in? I vaguely I seem to recall remembering that and then blocking.
It was in one of the flashback black and white ones.
Okay.
About Herbert's origins.
I remember. Yeah. You actually didn't draw Chad and myself though. Just pictures of us from
photos. I wanted to kind of on the show Courage the Cowardly Dog. Whenever there's framed photos on the wall, it's like actual photographs, and it was kind of a creepy mixture or a creepy, what do you call it?
Unsettling
juxtaposition.
Yes, unsettling juxtaposition.
I wanted to kind of...
I like how you use a picture of Chad from the early 2000s and you use a picture of me from like 2012.
Oh, well, I just wanted the ones that I thought would look funniest in the frames.
Yeah, it makes it look like Chad's aged a whole lot better than I have. Which won't be the case when he's done digesting all this spaghetti. Isn't that right, Chad? Eat it up. I'm going to be the pretty one now.
Ooh, saucy.
He is saucy right now. I don't know if that's Prego or Ragu, though. I didn't think to ask when I ordered a dump truck full of spaghetti.
He's going to look Prego when he's doing it.
Oh, zing. So, by the way, it should be pointed out you did draw DK Vine staffer and beloved season 2 Kongversation co-host or fill-in co-host Joe in the DKU Comix style.
Yes. Now, whether I did him any justice, I think since then I've drawn a better picture of him. But,
in your private time.
In my private times, but which he seemed to enjoy. I think I made up for this failed attempt. It does not look much like him. His friend Matt couldn't even recognize it.
I knew who it was.
All right. But, keeping in the style of the comic, it wasn't trying to say Joe really looks like that.
No. I mean, everybody looks nauseating in DKU Comics.
Exactly.
That's the key. I'm just saying, one day, I would like to see myself rendered in that style, not in a framed photo where I'm wearing Chad's too small coat for me. Because I forgot to pack a coat because I went to Texas thinking it's Texas, it's an arid desert. And no, it's March and it was actually very cold and I didn't have a coat.
Oh, well, that's good to know. I was wondering about that. You might want to mention, too, that Chad actually wrote an issue of DKU Comix.
Oh, yeah, the one that was more clever than funny.
I don't know about that, but it was good.
Yeah, I would like to write one at some point. You've asked me, sure. And I
anybody that wants to. I mean, as long as they have some sort of writing ability, I'd love to.
Yeah, I think I'm too gun shy after Green Porn City. What I should do is just write a Green Porn City in DKU Comix, though.
Yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, you went through several weeks without a story arc. I guess you had a loose story arc around E3 time.
Yeah, a little
mini arc. But yeah, one of my favorite comics during this time was on May 31st, 2015, where you you had Kiddy Kong draw the comic.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, and it was just intentionally shit. And you had that awful baby talk like the Chick-fil-A cow speak.
Oh yeah. See, I imagine him talking like that, even though in TKC3 he'll talk to Wrinkly and he's very eloquent. So I guess not.
By the way, Chick-fil-A will no longer serve Surge at their restaurant because their rampant homophobia precludes them from.
It goes hand in hand now. Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite DKU comics of all time.
Oh, thanks. It was the first sort of mixed medium usage, I guess, besides the photographs.
Right.
Which I more recently tried to go back into.
Yeah. And then
we'll get there.
And then what day was it? Yes, it was August 2nd, 2015, you started your second major story arc that is continuing to this day.
Yes.
Oh man,
almost over, folks.
Is it? Because I was gonna say, if you just hold out another 4 months, you'll hit the year mark.
Wow, I'm not doing that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Honker's even worse week, and
yep.
This is a ballsy move in that it's a story arc designed around Conker's Pocket Tales characters. Now,
or at least I mean, I wanted it to be a Conker world thing,
right?
Like everything. But yeah, the main character is indeed from Pocket Tales.
Yes, and here at DK Vine, we revere Pocket Tales to a degree, and that it probably doesn't.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't, because nobody remembers Conker's Pocket Tales.
It's part of that absurdity, though. That's the fun of it.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to embrace with this. I wanted, 14 issues in where I'm doing a comic about redemption involving a character from a Game Boy game no one knows about. I wanted that to just sink in and for me to revel in the absurdity of that notion.
Here's the thing, Nick, and here's what I should have warned you about.
Oh.
Nobody gives a fuck about Conker's Pocket Tales except DK Vine and the DK Vine community. I learned this lesson the hard way when we did not 1 but 2 years. We did
Talks.
E3 previews called TED Talks, which we thought would be a hilarious idea. What if the beloved character Ted the Boat Builder from Conker's Pocket. You remember Ted the Boat Builder. Everybody loves Ted the Boat Builder. Of course. What if Ted the Boat Builder did our E3 preview, and it was a parody of TED Talks? Because his name is
Genius.
Ted. Yeah, you get it.
It's a great idea. Once again, funny in theory, but people didn't.
People didn't care because nobody cares about Conker's Pocket Tales. Nobody knows who the hell Ted the Boat Builder is. Even people who played Conker's Pocket Tales don't know who Ted the Boat Builder is.
See, that just makes me want to keep doing it even more. It's like you gotta rage at the darkness, you know?
Yes, the thing is, we spent so long putting those together. It was fully, and the second one was fully animated. it was like, oh my god, it was like, what, 30 minutes long.
You definitely shouldn't do it again, but the fact that you did is really special.
We did it twice.
I mean, it's awesome, the fact that exists.
It nearly broke Chad. I like it nearly broke him both years. And now, granted, I'm breaking him right now by forcing him to eat a whole shit ton of spaghetti, but that's based out of spite and retribution. This was based off of the weird hope that these would resonate with people. They did not, and it was very discouraging. So I could have warned you before you started Honker's Even Worse Week. Nobody's going to pay attention to this, and nobody's going to respond or give you any sort of positive affirmation when you do these.
Well, that's not entirely true. There are a few diehards on the forum who are very kind about it, frequently. And people who give really good constructive criticism, who say, didn't really like that part, and I mean, part of me thinks, well, just hold on. It's my comic. Let me show you what I've got planned. But then I actually do listen to a lot of the critique, and people shoot out like random "wouldn't it be funny if" ideas, and I make them happen. So a lot of the feedback is very important.
Well, I'm glad you listen to your critics, because I sure as hell don't listen to mine.
Well, if I listen to my critics, I guess the comic wouldn't still be going, but you got to have a middle ground somewhere.
Exactly. So what I like about Honker's Even Worse Week, by the way, it stars Honker, and it's basically a series of unfortunate events towards Honker the Skunk, where he was a boss character in in one of the worlds in Pocket Tales, but you interacted with him in two of the worlds. You fought him twice. Well, you had a shootout with him, and then you had a boat race with him. So, and the boat race was the concluding battle with him, not the shootout. So it was kind of a little reverse there. But Honker is basically trying to leave his life of villainy behind, or at the very least, he was never a villain in actuality. He was a lot more innocent than he was portrayed.
He made some wrong choices.
But he's trying to
rehabilitate,
trying to turn over a new leaf, but the forces of Conker's world won't let him, and he keeps getting in over his head. What I like about this story arc is that it initially only had Pocket Tales characters, and also you introduced another original character, completely original in that he has no basis in any of the games. It was and
no right to even exist.
The therapist Ichabod.
Yes.
Who is a crane.
Do the math.
I get it. Could have also just called him Frasier, because Frasier was a therapist, and he was also a crane.
Or Jonathan, if I want to get Batman.
That's true. But mine was funnier because...
Totally.
Yes.
Totally funny.
Because I don't think the Scarecrow off of Batman was ever a bird, or ever had a bird. And anyway. I like that it was eventually just Pocket Tales characters and your own original creations, and then it slowly brought in every aspect of the world of Conker. You had Bad Fur Day characters, you had Diddy Kong Racing characters, and I liked that because Conker, out of all of the Donkey Kong universe series, Donkey Kong, Banjo, even Dinosaur Planet, which is what we call the 3-Star Fox games that we cover on the site that follow from Rare Star Fox Adventures. All of them have more tonal consistency with the world and the characters than Conker. Conker is very fragmented by nature of Chris Seaver taking over the reins of the series halfway through development of 12 Tales and kind of making it into something else, and he kind of jettisoned a lot of the
something brilliant.
he jettisoned a lot of the things that were from the Pocket Tales, and
yes,
and he infamously, I don't think, likes Pocket Tales at all or any of the characters. So
fair enough.
So you have the.
I don't even know if I do, but I'm defended to the.
But at DK Bind, we've always tried to reconcile those two worlds. Acorn people, the the name Willow Woods. We've tried to apply them to Bad Fur Day when and wherever we could. So to actually,
and I thought, what better way to physically meld them all?
Right, exactly. So to see. And where the story arc has really came together for me was seeing Wizpig, Evil Acorn, and the Professor all teaming up. So yes. all of Conker's former enemies coming together, and just great stuff. And then of course,
we should of course maybe say spoilers if no one's read it yet. But yeah,
go ahead and read it. I won't say who the primary culprit behind all the shenanigans were, because it was actually a bit of a surprise. But
I was afraid people could see it coming.
Cameron from our staff,
he did some detective work.
Cameron was the only one who figured it out, just because he knew the eye color of the character, because
so impressive.
He is the expert when it comes to renders and design history of these characters. That's what he brings to the table, besides running the Tumblr.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I love it. And right now it is. It seems to be winding down, but you still have to get through the weekend, I guess, because it is Conker's even worse week. So we're on a Friday right now.
Correct. There's 2 more days to go. Whether one of those days will be kind of quick or not, we'll see. Should we discuss briefly just sort of where it's at right now and sort of the
sure good
stuff I introduced towards the end?
Explain that to the good people.
Okay, well, I introduced a pornographic element. No, I'm just kidding.
It was chucklery.
Yes. Basically, in Conker's Bad Fur Day, Conker, towards the end of the game, finds himself in an awful situation and appeals to the actual programmer herself, to help him, basically culminating all the meta-ness of the game into the biggest meta moment, breaking the fourth wall. And I thought, I have 2, maybe 3 if you stretch, movie references in Conker's Even Worse Week. I tried to get as much Conker feel in there, but I thought what would feel more Conker than breaking the fourth wall and talking to the creator. So, which it might seem sort of narcissistic, like I thought I wanted to put myself in it, but really it was just to make it more Conkery. So I threw myself in there as a Deus Machina, and I don't know, some of the feedback has been thinking that's really clever, but they sort of don't like how I cleaned everything up so neatly, when really it's supposed to be a bad week and it's really supposed to be a tragic tale, but they haven't seen the rest of the story.
He's going to get addicted to heroin, isn't he?
Oh, of course. I mean, he has that kind of personality.
Is that racist because he's black?
No. It's racist because I don't know why. Just is.
Okay. Well, we'll say it's racist towards skunks, because I don't think many skunks listen to our show.
Well, maybe Pepe Le Pew.
He's a fictional character. Don't be ridiculous, Nick.
The walls of reality are starting to fade.
That's probably the heroin talking.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I pop in there, my hand draws stuff, and a tragedy befalls him despite all the good stuff happening.
Yes, which was, I think, one of the more morbid jokes you made. Now, that was in the most recent strip as of, right now. So, check that out. Well, I'm excited to see where Conker's Even Worse Week winds up. I'm excited to see some one-offs, and I'm excited to see what you do with the election 2016.
Of course, you got to do that.
So, really quick, I do want to touch upon what are your absolute favorite characters from the Donkey Kong universe to actually draw?
Ooh, okay. That I have drawn the comic? In the comic? Or?
In the comic.
Let's see. Conker, I struggle a little bit with because I want him to... There's only so many ways you can draw an anthropomorphic skunk without making it almost look like a furry webcomic of some kind at first glance.
To be fair, that's pretty much what DKU Comix is. We've just been waiting a year and a half.
Don't say that.
We've just been waiting a year and a half for the penetration to start.
Yeah, I mean, it has talk. In that case, Wind in the Willows is a furry story. I mean, come on. There's been talking animals before that
I know.
subgenre.
I'm just playing to popular internet conceptions.
Okay, in that case, yeah, if it'll get more views, hell, it's as furry as it gets. I mean,
got to boost the Patreon somehow. It means selling out and just becoming
I'll start going to furry cons and
den
selling
for
it.
Pervs. Then sure, yeah.
Yeah, bring it on. Crystal's the next story arc. Crystal builds a treadmill. It'll be 15 issues. But okay, so maybe it is furry-like at first glance. But I was just saying, I like drawing Conker now. I liked making him lankier.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he's wearing freaking tennis shoes. I liked redesigning him and it was a challenge to try to make him not look just like a standard furry character. The acorns are fun to draw. They're really simplistic. I guess you said you liked my version of, oh well, that would be a spoiler, but my version of who a certain character ends up being.
Yeah, he, because it's not a character I've seen interpreted too often from the original design, by virtue of that character not appearing too much. So to see him in your signature style, it was very, very, it was like so different and yet recognizably that character. So I
Awesome.
appreciated it, yeah.
And I love drawing cranky and funky. Anybody who has exaggerated features is angry often or surprised often.
Yeah, you seem to do really well with the emotive characters, like Conker or Cranky, where you have that wide range of facial expressions to play off of.
Yeah, I try to usually one-up myself with the mouth agape and the teeth.
Are you sure this is not a furry comic? Because you're turning me on right now.
It's whatever you want it to be. Well, it's all the same in the dark. But
Pants optional when reading DKU Comix.
Mr. Pants not optional. But I don't know. I think some of my favorite characters to draw will be in the future more. I really look forward to drawing more Ghoulies characters.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was going to ask you, like, if we've seen a wide array of DKU characters, but there's still so many you haven't drawn.
Exactly. Star Fox. I mean, I've done one Star Fox panel, I think.
If there's one DKU character that you haven't drawn in DKU Comix yet that you're dying to draw, like, who would it be? If you can say off the top of your head.
Alfred Peacock.
Seriously?
No.
Because I was going to say, if you're disappointed about the reception to a Pocket Tales story arc...
Get ready.
Because I don't think Grunny's Revenge is going to net you much more positivity, my friend.
Oh man, I had a whole series called Alfred Peacock Presents where he just does these thriller episodes.
I'm not trying to discourage you if that's what you want to do.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Who do I want to draw? I love Baron von Ghoul. I love Grunty and her sisters. I'll do some more Banjo stuff for sure. I don't know. I just love all the
Grunty's sisters are dead, so you're going to have to come up with an explanation why they're back.
Oh, I mean, well, she comes back enough, doesn't she? So they'll be fine.
She's never technically died. She's separated her spirit from her body, as we discussed last week, but...
I'll draw them in a flashback.
Fair enough. Yeah.
In black and white.
I like, who would I want to see you draw? Honestly,
because I'm sure there's somebody perfect for me to draw. I'm just not thinking of. It's so many characters.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I would want to see more of the Mario cast perverted in your style.
Okay.
Like.
Yeah, I didn't want to introduce them just yet because I mean the DKU is confusing to outsiders as it is, and then Mario starts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It just I'm thinking, and I'm thinking back to Donkey Kong Country 2 when. Our only instance of seeing Rare's version of Mario.
Yes.
And it's just
pretty cool.
It's such a slap in the face, or a cold splash of water, I should say, to see that version of Mario now, because that was before Nintendo really locked down a consistent design for him, which started around Super Mario 64, but around the N64 era, that's when they kind of locked down the kind of thinner version of Mario. He's got a bit of it's kind of like as bodybuilding forums would say, he's kind of a skinny fat ass in that he's, he's not obese anymore, but he's also got a bit of a pudge to him, but he can still do those wildly acrobatic moves. But before then, he was more of a regular Joe,
Exactly.
And he was portrayed as short and stocky, schlubby, and so Rare's version of Mario was ACM styled, same graphic system that made the Killer Instinct characters.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious to see. He looks so off model now, but honestly, in 1995, that was a perfectly valid interpretation of Mario.
Exactly. And hell, I draw Mario characters all the time, just not in the comic, but maybe they'll start introducing. I love drawing Wario, for sure.
Yeah. So I would like to see kind of your own bizarre take on the Mario cast. Just, I think it harkens back to what Rare did with Mario and how exciting it is to see those stodgy, boring, they've been the same for close to 2 decades now, characters reinterpreted in a wildly new style. I think that's what would excite me.
Man.
Well,
that would be cool. Yeah. And I hope over time that the storytelling, the panel layouts, how the template of the comic itself will improve. Because if you look at the first couple and then look at now, it's come a long way. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping next year it's even better than it looks now. Because I don't know. I can sometimes, I'm drawing this in a pinch, or I can only shade so much or something. It just doesn't look as good as it could be, but just for everyone out there who reads it, it will get better. So
you should do a strip entirely in Braille, which I don't know how it would work on a webcomic, but you should try it.
It's worth a try.
Well, anyway, so that's dkvine.com/comics with an X, but not an XS.
And if someone's listening to this a month from now, nickprol.com. It's a website I'm working on it with Matt Corna. And he is doing an amazing job. So if all things go well, there you'll have access to. If you like the kind of stuff you see in DKU Comix, there'll be tons of that stuff there. So check it.
Yeah, I've actually seen the rough layout of it, that prototype, and it's very, very impressive.
Cool.
Evocative.
It's going to be different. I think people like
it. So check those out, and So, and if you want to give Nick any suggestions for DKU Comix, check out the thread and general DKU discussion on the DK Vine forum at dkvine.com/forum, or respond to any of the DKU Comix posts on Facebook or Twitter or wherever we post.
Yeah, like I said, feedback is just as valid as collaboration at this point, because Scraps recently posted like a dumb one-off suggestion, and I altered it slightly, but that was essentially the girlfriend punchline.
Oh.
So and Cameron randomly gave me the suggestion for all the Conker bad guys to be floating in space and to team up. I had gotten it from him. He reminded me, but yeah, I take suggestions and it forms the future of it. So please, feedback is very welcome.
That's right. Well, I guess we need to check in on Chad one more time.
Yeah, how's he doing?
Before we wrap this up. Hey, Chad. Oh my God, Nick. I think he's in a Yoshi's Island commercial.
When is too much too much? To find out, we crammed everything into Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. 60 more levels, massive enemies, huge Yoshi tricks, all served up with the latest graphic technology, Morphmation.
No more.
Sure you don't have room for another little bonus level? Super Mario World 2, only on the Super NES. Still the big one.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.